Hi, everyone. Welcome to week 6 of our Fundamentals of College Writing class. This week, let me back up for a minute. So last week you should have completed your first reflections assignment. There's a little bit of confusion with that, so hopefully you were able to figure out kind of what to do. The reflections workshops, we're going to be doing 4 of those, and last week you did the first one. So we're going to be doing that 3 more times, and at the end of the semester you'll submit kind of the final product. We're kind of going to be piecing it all together as we go along. So last week you should not have completed that whole template. You were just following the instructions under week 5, our week 5 module. This week, you're going to be thinking a little bit about your history as a consumer of advertisements and media. And the personal reflection you write for your discussion board post may eventually find its way into your writing project 2 in Comp 1. So this week, we're going to kind of focus on crafting a good intro for writing project 2 in English 1100. Here, I'm asking that you think about how we, come across media representations all day, every day, whether it's watching television, videos on YouTube, surfing the web, listening to the radio, reading things, walking past flyers or billboards. Here is a recent ad from Columbus State encouraging students to find their future among a diverse student body. And so this is, you should have watched those videos last week in Comp 1 about, how we incorporate depictions of things like gender and race and even sexuality in media. And so, this is a real world example from our very own school, sort of using that idea of race and diversity for advertising purposes. Now, there doesn't seem to be anything, really problematic with this poster, but it is an example of media representation. This task 6.1 is really just something for you to reflect on a little bit. Have a couple of examples here. We're going to be working on contextualizing an introduction with personal experience. So, have a little kind of mini lecture here for you. Your essays need to be able to exist independently in the world without this class, the prompts, or Columbus State. Even though you are writing for a class and in response to an assignment prompt, I don't want your essays to sound like they are merely satisfying an assignment in a writing class. So things like this that sound like, for this second writing project, I chose to compose a thesis about X. Or, like in this paper, I'm going to talk about this. Or the 2 advertisements that I chose were the following. In general, you want to kind of avoid writing as if you were, completing an assignment. Your ideas have, real world impacts. They resonate with the real world outside of the classroom. And the boundaries between ideas you explore here in the outside world should be eliminated, ideally. So we want to write as if we were writing real things that people would actually read, things that would, get published, perhaps. Developing a context for writing helps establish its importance in the outside world. In other words, focusing on why the topic of your essay matters to you personally and or why it matters to all of us at this moment in time can help to showcase its importance beyond the classroom. So providing a little bit of context for your readers, showing how your topic relates to your life or relates to other people's lives is a good way to make your writing kind of more engaging and more authentic. One way to create context and draw readers in is to use your introductory paragraph to briefly share a personal context for your essay. And I have a couple of examples here that kind of illustrate that idea. In each, personal experience, which is in red, offers an entry point into the issue being discussed by the writer. So here we have an example from an essay on the history of rock and roll's influence on youth culture. I remember the first time I attended a rock and roll concert. It was 2005. I was only 16 years old, and I was swept away in a rush of excitement as the Strokes took the stage by storm. I was moved by the music and felt almost as if the movement of my body had control over my mind. The history of rock and roll in America is intimately tied to youth culture. The genre's very origins are associated with rebellion, free expression, and pushing the boundaries of creativity. And I'll cut it off there, but you can see how to form an intro here, this writer has begun with a personal experience, used some descriptive details to draw the reader in, and then very nicely transitioned into talking about their topic and begin making a point. And we'll see a very similar thing happening here in this second example, which is from a paper on working and going to school full time. I wake up at 5:30 to start the morning shift at the deli, then hustle to classes once my shift ends at noon. After a quick dinner, I sit down to begin finishing my daily assignments, tuck in my kids, and prepare to do it all again tomorrow. Working full-time and attending school full-time is an increasing reality, especially for students enrolled in community colleges, and support systems for these students should be improved. So again, we're seeing there kind of begin with personal, providing a context for your reader, showing them how your topic relates to your life and real world experiences. For task 6.2, which is your assignment this week, your discussion board posts, which as a reminder are always due on Thursdays, I want you to review the information on contextualizing your introduction, which I just talked about in the previous page. And then you're going to think about your own history as a consumer of advertisements and other media representations. For your discussion board post, I want you to write out 3 attempts at a contextualized introduction for your writing project 2. Each attempt should be between 1 and 3 sentences. Ask yourself, before I begin my argument about how my chosen ads and media representations relate to ideas in the lens videos, how can I introduce the importance of studying advertising and media using my own history as a consumer of ads and media? In other words, how can I prepare my reader for the analysis to come by emphasizing my own experience? And I see that there's a typo there. I'll be sure to fix that when I'm done with this video. So essentially what you're going to do in your discussion board post is to write some of those more kind of personal intros that will flow into your topic and provide your reader with a little bit of context for what you're going to be developing in the body of the paper. Have a few ideas to get you started here. You could write about a specific ad you remember from your childhood that has stuck with you. How do you think it has influenced your self-understanding? You could write about the frequency of your media consumption on a daily basis. Do you ever take time to consider the influence that consuming all of that media is having on you? And you can also reflect on the importance of media in shaping your perception of yourself or others in general. You don't necessarily need to write an intro for each one of these bullet points. Maybe you want to try 3 different methods of approaching this first one. That's perfectly fine. I just need to see 3 different sort of personal intros that you might use for the start of your paper in Comp 1. So you'll share your three attempts there as your discussion board posts for this week. That is all for now. If you have any questions or concerns, let me know and I will help you out.